Jai Shri Gurudev. In the previous two chapters, we were discussing the digestion and the respiration. At the end of the digestion process, there will be an absorption of biomolecules in the form of monomeric units. In the respiration, we have studied that there will be the diffusion of oxygen from the lung alveoli into the blood. Now, it has to be carried to the respective region for the cellular breakdown. That is, biomolecules, that the monomers of the biomolecule should be taken or transported, as well as the oxygen, the biofuel is to be taken care or transported by the system. The system which taking care, or the media which is taking all the nutrients, the digested absorbed nutrients, and the oxygen is the blood. Blood is the media in which all the dissolved biomolecules are present and the oxygen is present. In the similar way, the waste products are also dumped into the blood and which will be transported to respective organ system for the elimination, that is for the excretion. The media here, it is the blood. For the transport of the blood, something has to be pumped, and the pumping organ is the heart. So, in the today's class, we will discuss about the circulation. The first content is the structure and function of the heart. Let us discuss the structure, the morphological structure of the heart and how it works or how it functions. Human heart. Firstly, we will discuss the structure of the heart. The heart is located in the thoracic cavity, almost at the center of the thoracic cavity, slightly towards the left side, and which is guarded by the rib cage. In addition to that, the heart with the muscular, which is muscular and conical in structure. This particular muscular heart is protected by three layers of muscles are called pericardium, and this entire heart is present in a fluid called pericardial fluid, which acts as a shock absorbing material and which protects the heart from the external shock or external mechanical injury. The pericardium is the innermost layer which is the endocardium, and next to the endocardium which is the myocardium, and the outermost layer is the epicardium, and all of these are mesodermal in origin. The myocardial thickness is varying in the auricle and the ventricle, and even between the right ventricle and the left ventricle. The myocardium is thin in case of in the region of auricle, whereas in the ventricular region, the myocardium, which is depicted in yellow color here, which is thicker, because the pressure which is exerted here in the ventricle is higher than the pressure which is exerted in the auricle. Therefore, the thickening will be there in the ventricular chambers. In particular, in the left ventricle, the thickening of the or thickness of the myocardium is much higher than the thickness of the right ventricle, myocardium of the right ventricle, because from the left ventricle, blood has to be pumped throughout the body, farthest places, farthest regions of the body parts. Therefore, there will be higher pressure needed. For that matter, here the myocardium is thicker than the myocardium of the right ventricle, and which is less thickened in the left auricle, because blood has to pump from this region to this, that's it. Therefore, pressure is less here. And the human heart is four-chambered heart, having two auricle and two ventricle. And the auricles are left auricle and right auricle. The ventricles are left ventricle and right ventricle. And this chamber is possible, the partition is possible by means of the septa formation. And there is a septum in this region. In this region, there is a muscular septum present between the auricle, that is known as interauricular septum. Here is a muscular structure, interauricular septum. The similar way, the septa is present between the right and the left ventricle, intraventricular septum. Intra-auricular septum divides the auricle into right auricle and left auricle. Similar way, interventricular septum divides ventricle into left ventricle and right ventricle. Similar way, the auricle and ventricle is divided or partitioned by the septum, a muscular septum present here. It is interauriculoventricular septum, auricle ventricle, interauriculoventricular septum. This is about the chamber. And coming to the blood vessels, the blood is present throughout the body and which is used up, that is oxygen is taken up and carbon dioxide is given out. The similar way, nutrition is absorbed and the waste products are dumped into the blood, and those and that kind of blood is called deoxygenated blood. The deoxygenated blood from the lower body parts collected by the caval system known as inferior vena cava. From the lower body parts, all the deoxygenated bloods are finally collected by the inferior vena cava, and from the upper body part, it is the superior vena cava. Inferior and superior vena cava are put together called caval system, which supply the deoxygenated blood and opens into the right auricle, and thus opens here, and the blood, deoxygenated blood reaches the right auricle. And from the right auricle, blood is pumped to the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, blood is ventricular contraction leads to pumping of the blood into the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood to right and left. This is pulmonary artery which carries deoxygenated blood to right and left lung for the purification. Purification in the sense leaving out or giving out of the carbon dioxide and adding up of or diffusion of the oxygen take place. For that, the deoxygenated blood which is present in the right ventriculum is pumped through the pulmonary artery to the left lung and to the right lung. This is about the traveling of the deoxygenated blood. Initially, which is present in the throughout the body parts and which are collected by the venous system, and finally from the lower body parts, inferior vena cava collects the deoxygenated blood and given into the right auricle. From the upper body part, superior vena cava collect the blood and poured into the right auricle. When the right auricle contracts, blood, deoxygenated blood which is present in the right auricle now pushed to the right ventricle. When the ventricle contraction take place, deoxygenated blood is pumped to the pulmonary artery and which reach the lungs for the purification. After the purification, that is oxygen is added, that purified blood or oxygenated blood are collected by means of two pairs or four pulmonary veins, two from each side of the lungs. From the left lung, there will be pair of pulmonary veins which collect the oxygenated blood from the left lung and poured into the left auricle. The similar way, oxygenated blood from the right lung will be collected by two pulmonary veins and blood get poured into the left auricle. And now the oxygenated blood is present in the left auricle. From the left auricle, the contraction of the auricle pushes blood into the oxygenated blood into the left ventricle. The ventricular contraction pushes the oxygenated blood into the systemic aorta. And the systemic aorta shows numerous branches, and through the branches to the upper side and to the appendages, everything blood will be supplied. And to the lower body part, which is behind the heart, the oxygenated blood is supplied. And here, in between the auricle and the ventricle, there are valves present, muscular flaps are present called valves. Respectively, between the right auricle and the right ventricle, tricuspid valve is present. There are three flap structures, tricuspid valve present, and between the left auricle and the left ventricle, it is bicuspid valve. The function of these valves are to prevent the backflow of the blood. So when the systole or the contraction of the auricle take place, and the contraction of the auricle is a simultaneous for right auricle and left auricle, at a time right and left auricle contracts and deoxygenated blood from the right auricle pumped to the right ventricle, and oxygenated blood from the left auricle pumped to the left ventricle. After the auricular systole, the ventricular systole, nothing but the ventricular contraction take place, during which from the right ventricle deoxygenated blood has to move into the pulmonary artery, and oxygenated blood from the left ventricle into the systemic aorta. During this, blood has to move in this way, not backwards. So, in order to prevent that, the backflow of blood should be prevented by the tricuspid and bicuspid valve. Tricuspid valve is present between the right and the right auricle and right ventricle. Bicuspid valve is present between the left auricle and left ventricle. Similar way, there are three flaps of valves present in the systemic aorta as well as in the pulmonary artery are called semi-lunar valves. Semi means Ardha, lunar means Chandra. Semi-lunar valves are present in the opening of the pulmonary artery as well as opening of the systemic aorta. Once again, thus prevent the backflow of the blood from the aorta into the left ventricle, from the pulmonary artery into the right ventricle. This is how these bicuspid, tricuspid and semi-lunar valves prevent the backflow of blood in the series of transport of blood. This is about the structure of the heart. The structure consists, which is a muscular structure guarded by three layers, epicardium, myocardium and endocardium, together called pericardium. The heart is present in the pericardial fluid, and the thickness of the myocardium varies with the auricle and the ventricle, and even between the right ventricle and left ventricle depending on the pressure needed. And the blood vessels which carry blood or the caval system, the superior and inferior vena cava, pulmonary veins, pulmonary arteries, systemic aorta and the cuspid system. This is about the structure. In addition to that, we should know the blood vessels are three types. One is artery and veins and capillaries. We will be confusing with these two words, that is artery and veins. Arteries carries oxygenated blood and veins carry deoxygenated blood. Usually we will be dealt like that. Arteries carry oxygenated blood and veins carry deoxygenated blood, which is wrong. Arteries are the blood vessels which carry blood from the heart towards the body parts, or we can say arteries are the blood vessels which carry blood from the heart to body parts except lung for systemic aorta, and deoxygenated blood is carried by the pulmonary artery. Arteries are the blood vessels which carry blood away from the heart. In the simplest manner we can say arteries are the blood vessels which carry blood away from the heart. First say pulmonary aorta, nothing but an artery which carry oxygenated blood from the heart, away from the heart to all the body parts. Pulmonary artery which carry deoxygenated blood from the heart. Not always the artery carry oxygenated blood, no. The deoxygenated blood is carried out of the heart to the lungs by the pulmonary artery. Aorta and artery. Aorta carry oxygenated blood, this carry deoxygenated blood. The function of the artery is to carry away from the heart. A similar way, the veins, pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood. Veins means not deoxygenated blood. Veins, pulmonary veins in particular, which carry oxygenated blood from the right and the left lungs. And the inferior and superior vena cava, the caval system, carry deoxygenated blood from the body parts into the right auricle. Therefore, arteries are the blood vessels which carry blood away from the heart. Veins are the blood vessels which carry blood towards the heart. And blood capillaries are the network which present between these two artery and veins, which is the branched structure, networked structure which is found between or connecting between the artery and the veins. Coming to the function of the heart, how exactly it works, and let us later we will move on to regulation of the heart. The function means the heart contracts and relaxes rhythmically, contracts and relax, and which gives a sound lub dub. Likewise, there will be a contraction and a relaxation of the heart is present. The contraction of the heart is known as systole. Systole, the contraction. The auricular systole, ventricular systole. Always there will be, initially there will be systole or contraction of the auricle, which will be followed by contraction of the ventricle, and there will be relaxation of the ventricle and the auricle take place, and the relaxation of the heart chamber, which is known as diastole. The relaxation is known as diastole of the heart. The contraction of the auricle takes about 0.11 second. 0.11 second. And for the relaxation of the auricle, I am talking about the contraction of the auricle only. The systole of the auricular systole or auricular contraction is last for or taking up to 0.11 second. And for the relaxation of the auricular contraction, relaxation which takes about, for the diastole of that, which is 69 seconds. is for the diastole, which is a longer period, that is 0.69 seconds. Similar way, ventricular systole takes about 0.33 second. 0.33 second, and for the relaxation or a diastole of the ventricle, which is for 0.47 seconds. Therefore, and combining together the systole and the diastole, the contraction and the relaxation is known as one cardiac cycle, and which is in total, which is 0.8 second. So one cardiac cycle takes about 0.8 second, in which the systole of the auricle takes 0.11 second, for the relaxation which takes 0.69 second. The ventricular contraction is lost for 0.33 second, ventricular relaxation is 0.47 second, and systole and diastole put together called as one cycle, it is one cardiac cycle, and one cardiac cycle is 0.8 second. Therefore, for 1 minute, that is 60 seconds, there will be 72 beats. But you will be having a confusion. 0.8 second multiplied by 60 second, that is 1 minute, will not give 72 beats, because after the systole, I will explain the function. The 0.11 second, the auricle contracts. The blood is pumped from the auricles into the respective ventricles, and now this auricle start slowly the relaxing, and during the relaxation of this, the ventricular contraction take place, which takes, for the complete contraction of the ventricle takes 0.33 seconds, and this contraction, ventricular contraction will be there. And after the ventricular contraction is over, simultaneously the auricular and ventricular relaxation, diastole take place slowly, which relaxes, and now at one point both auricle and ventricle is in relaxed state. For this systole, auricular systole and ventricular systole, and diastole of auricle and ventricular, which is 0.8 second in total. After the one cardiac cycle, the heart goes for rest, or which goes for 0.4 seconds at rest. This is known as general pause. So totally 0.8 seconds of cardiac cycle followed by 0.4 seconds of rest, that is general pause, which is 1.2 seconds. So 1.2 seconds into 1 minute, which gives 72, on an average 72 beats per minute. This is cardiac, and per one beat means one cardiac cycle, the contraction of the ventricles pumps about 70 ml of blood. One contraction pumps about 70 ml, therefore 72 pumping, which is about 5, that is approximately 5 liters of blood gets circulated at 1 minute. This is the function. Let us move on to how exactly this contraction and the relaxation of the heartbeat is done with the help of nervous system and the chemical system. Let us discuss the regulation of heartbeat. Regulation of heart is regulated or controlled by means of chemical system as well as the electrical system. That is, the nervous system and the chemical system involved in the contraction and the relaxation of the heart. And there is a specialized structure which is present in the heart just below the superior vena cava opening. This is the superior vena cava which opens in the right auricle. Just below that, there is a specialized structure, muscle present, which is known as sinoatrial node, SA node or sinoatrial node, which is called pacemaker. And this pacemaker initiates the nerve impulses to the auricle and to the AV node and later to throughout the part of the heart. And thus is the pacemaker an important structure which is present in the heart, which is the immediate control over the heart. And therefore, this pacemaker or SA node is otherwise called as heart of heart. Heart of heart is the SA node or the pacemaker, which actually immediately control the contraction and relaxation of the heart. But that is not the ultimate thing. This pacemaker, the activity of the pacemaker is controlled by the region which is present in the central nervous system. That is, in the central nervous system, in the brain, there is medulla oblongata. In the medulla oblongata, there is a specialized nervous cells present known as heart rate center. In the medulla oblongata, there is a region known as heart rate center. From the heart rate center, two pairs of nerves arise, and one pair of nerve is the axillary nerve. This axillary nerve and another pair is the inhibitor nerve or the vagus nerve. Two pairs of nerves arise from the heart rate center of the medulla oblongata of the central nervous system, and which opens in the auricular region, particularly the right auricle, just above the sinoatrial node. There will be synapses or the joint or the meeting of the nerves, axillary nerve and the vagus nerve in this region, sinoatrial node or the pacemaker. If the heart wants to beat, the axillary nerve which is arising here gives the signal from the heart rate center of the medulla oblongata to the SA node to contract. And the SA node in turn distribute the signals to the auricular region, and now the auricular contraction take place. And the main thing for the initiation of the electrical impulses or the nerve impulses from the SA node or the pacemaker is the commanding is from the heart rate node, and the chemical which is used for the transmission of the message, it is sympathin. Sympathin is the chemical. The nerve impulses are carried from the medulla oblongata, particularly heart rate center, towards the sinoatrial node, and exactly here in the synapses region there will be a chemical pouring or the secretion of chemical, and the chemical is sympathin. Sympathin chemical induce the pacemaker to give out the signals to contract the auricle. Now the auricle contracts, and therefore the blood moves into the respective ventricular chambers. And further, and these signals are received by another node, another region which is known auriculoventricular node, AV node. AV node is present, and the received signals are further carried by a bunch of or bundle of nerves known as bundle of His. His is the name of a person, so you have to write it in a capital letter. Bundle of his, bunch of now which carry signals from the AV node further into the ventricular region of the heart. And this bundle of his gives two branches, one to the right side, another to the left side. And further, these right and left branches of bundle of his further branches into minute structures, and these structures, minute branching of the nerves, are called Purkinje fibers. Finally, the signals reach ultimately to all the parts of the heart. This is how the signal is originated in the heart rate center of the medulla oblongata of central nervous system, carried to the SCA node by the production or synthesis of sympathin chemical. In turn, which react, SCA node gives off signals, nerve impulses to the auricle, and which is again received by the auriculoventricular node or AV node, further which is carried by the bundle of hairs, and finally which reached by means of a number of branches known as Purkinje fiber. If the heartbeat has to be reduced, if it is beating higher than the normal level, that is the normal level is 72 beats per minute. If it is beating higher than that, it has to be cooled down or reduced. In that case, the pair of the nerves which arise from the medulla oblongata, that is inhibitor nerve or the vagus nerve, once again gives out a chemical substance in this synapses region, that is the acetylcholine. The acetylcholine is released here in the synapses. Synapses means the meeting center, the junction between the nerve and the SCA node. At these synapses, acetylcholine is released now. And what this acetylcholine leaves, which increases the negativity. Negativity is increased, and which leads to hyperpolarization. Hyperpolarization, high negativity will be there, hyperpolarization take place. After the saturation point of hyperpolarization, it has to be depolarized, and for the depolarization which takes longer time, therefore heart contraction and relaxation is reduced till the normal beat happens. That is how this heart rate center control over the pacemaker, and the pacemaker actually control over the heart, which initiate the contraction and the relaxation. How exactly this is absorbed by the system means, once again there are two nerves, one nerve which is extending from the aorta and giving signal or leads to the heart rate center, another nerve which is from the vena cava, that is superior and inferior vena cava, and which leads the signal into the heart rate center. Suppose in the aorta, if there is increased blood pressure, the signals, pressure is absorbed by this nervous system and signal is carried to the heart rate center. In turn, heart rate center get activated and give the signal to the inhibitor nerve or the vagus nerve, and acetylcholine will be released, hyperpolarization take place, heart rate is reduced. Suppose pressure is decreased in the caval system, the decreased signal or decreased pressure is carried in the form of signal, nerve signal by means of the sensory nerve, which is accelerating the system and tells the heart rate center to accelerate or fast up the heartbeat rate. In that case, heart rate center gives the signal by means of accelerator nerve, and in that case sympathin chemical will be released, and sympathin chemical induce the pacemaker to give off signal, and there will be contraction and relaxation of the heart. That is how the nervous system and the chemicals involved in the regulation of the heartbeat. This is about the regulation of heartbeat by a reflex arc by two systems. One is nervous system, another one is chemical system, which is acetylcholine and the sympathin. And the third topic of today's class is the mechanism of blood clotting. How exactly the clotting mechanism take place. And there are various theories put forth to explain the clotting mechanism or the coagulation mechanism of blood. And one of the theories I am going to explain is Best and Taylor's theory. Best and Taylor's theory. According to this theory, there are four substances are necessary for the coagulation process. The substance number one is prothrombin, and substance number two is thromboplastin or thrombokinase enzyme, and substance number three is calcium ion. And the fourth substance which is necessary for the blood coagulation is the fibrinogen. According to Best and Taylor's theory, four substances are necessary for the coagulation of blood. One is prothrombin, thrombokinase or thromboplastin, calcium ions and fibrinogen. This prothrombin is secreted in the liver, and which is secreted in the liver and which is present in a small quantity in the blood plasma. Whereas thrombokinase or thromboplastin is a fatty compound which is present in the tissues, and calcium is present in the blood plasma as an inorganic constituent. And the fibrinogen is a blood plasma protein present in the blood plasma and which is in soluble state, which is in soluble form. Suppose when there is a cut or wound or a damage to the tissue happen, in that case from the damaged tissues, that is thromboplastin is secreted from the damaged tissues and the disintegrated platelets. From the disintegrated platelets and the damaged tissue, a fatty compound arise, that is thromboplastin or thrombokinase. An enzyme, nothing but a protein enzyme like thrombokinase is given out. This thromboplastin in the presence of calcium ion. For the blood coagulation, the necessary amount, required amount of calcium is 5 grams per 100 ml of blood. And 100 ml of blood, it should be 5 grams of calcium must be there. During the wound or the injury, the thromboplastin is released from the damaged tissues and the disintegrated platelets, and which in the presence of calcium ion in the required amount, that is about 5 grams in 100 ml of blood, in the presence of calcium ions, convert the inactive form, that is prothrombin, which is in an inactive state. Prothrombin will be converted into active thrombin, active form which is thrombin. In turn, this activated thrombin now, which is circulated in the bloodstream, which reaches the oozing out blood, there the soluble protein which is fibrinogen, which is present in the blood plasma, will be made to insoluble fibrin. It will be converted into fibrin. The fibrin is in an insoluble state which is known as fibrinogen, which is present in the blood and thus is converted into insoluble substance, that is fibrin, by the activity of thrombin, and now there will be a clot, which is just like the ಟೀ ಕುಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಟೀ ಕಪ್ನ ಹಂಗೆ ಇಟ್ಟರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆನೆ ಕಟ್ಕೊಡುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಆ ರೀತಿ ಕ್ಲಾಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಕ್ಲಾಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಥ್ರೋಂಬಸ್, which is called thrombus. There will be a clotting. Therefore, which prevent the excess flow of outflow of the blood during the cut or the wound. This is how the blood clotting happens, blood coagulation happen. According to this theory, Best and Taylor's theory, 4 substances are necessary: prothrombin, thromboplastin, calcium ion and fibrinogen. And during the injury, thromboplastin is released from the injured part, and which in the presence of calcium ion convert the inactive prothrombin into active thrombin. This activated thrombin convert the soluble state of fibrinogen and make them to insoluble in the blood plasma, that is fibrin, and which actually responsible for the coagulation or the clotting, that is nothing but thrombus. This is how blood coagulation is prevented when there is an injury. But this thromboplastin is absent or nil in the blood stream, therefore clotting won't occur in the regular fashion. If at all, if there is a thromboplastin occurring and there is a clotting happening in the circulating blood, during which antithrombin will be secreted, and thus antithrombin prevent the clotting of the blood inside the circulatory system. And next we will move on to another last topic, that is blood pressure or BP. What is BP or blood pressure? Blood pressure is the lateral pressure, which is the pressure, lateral pressure, which is exerted by the blood against what? Against the walls of the blood vessels. Walls of the blood vessel is known as blood pressure. The lateral pressure exerted by the blood against the walls of the blood vessel is known as blood pressure. And blood pressure is high when means the blood pressure is high during the systole, and that is known as systolic blood pressure. The blood pressure that is during the contraction of the heart, that is the systole of the heart, the pressure will be more, pumping will be more. That pressure is high, BP is high, which is known as systolic blood pressure. And blood pressure comes to low during the diastole. That means during the relaxing of the heart, the pressure comes down, therefore BP is low, and that is known as diastolic blood pressure. And once again, the blood pressure is high in the near the heart, that means in the aorta near the heart, the blood pressure is high, and which is keep on reducing or decreasing in the capillaries, and which is very minimum in the capillaries or the veins, which is very minimum. Let us know some of the things, that is normal blood pressure, hypertension, high blood pressure, or low blood pressure, that is hypotension. Normal blood pressure is 120 over 80 mmHg. 120 over 80 mmHg is the normal blood pressure. Suppose if this range 80 to 120, if this range is hiked or increased, and then that situation is known as high BP or hypertension. In an unhealthy or aged fellow, there will be increased blood pressure. Instead of 120, the blood pressure may go up to 170, and diastolic blood pressure will be 150 instead of 80. Just 80 will be increased, and this condition is hypertension. And similar way, if the blood pressure is going down or lesser than the normal blood pressure, that is 100 over 50 mmHg, which the condition is known as low BP or hypotension. This is about the blood pressure. Thank you.